Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see how we can launch EC2 instance in custom VPC by using AWS Management Console. So what we are going to do, so we are having like AWS Cloud, and in that AWS Cloud or AWS account, we are getting one default VPC. But we are not going to use default VPC. We want to create our own VPC. We call it like custom VPC basically. And we will call it the name of VPC. Here we will give like AI project. So AI project is our VPC name. And then we already having, based on whatever reason we are selecting, we are having availability zones. So we will consider availability zone A and B or 1 or 2, we can say. So in these two availability zones, we are going to have subnets. So we can say in availability zone 1, we are having two subnets. So one is the AI project public subnet. Second one is the private subnet. In the availability zone 2, we are having same subnets like public subnet and the private subnet. Then what we will do, we will have EC2 instance with security group in public subnet availability zone 2. So if you want to access this particular EC2 instance, like for example, suppose in EC2 instance, we are having some web content, or even we just simply want to access it from the internet. So directly we will not able to access it. So we should have something called internet gateway first. So all will come from internet to internet gateway at VPC level. Then we should have some routing defined. With the help of routings, we will able to redirect that particular call to this subnet and from this subnet to this EC2 instance. So this complete infrastructure we are going to create with the help of management console. So first thing, like we should have custom VPC. VPC name is AI project. Then we need to create 4 subnets. We can create 1 or 2 subnets also, not required like exactly 4 subnets. We are creating here because 2 availability zones are there. So that's why we are creating one public, one private in each sub availability zone. Then we need to create one EC2 instance and we should have routing table defined. We should have internet gateway, and then we will see whether we are able to access our instance or not. So let's go to management console. So this is my management console. So first thing, like we need to create VPC. So we will go to the VPC page. So let me open VPC service here. So we can see VPC service is getting open. So this is basically VPC dashboard. So if we see here, we are having one default VPC here. This is my default VPC. Now we don't want to use default VPC. We want to create our own VPC. So we will say create VPC here, and we can give some name like AI project. I will give this is my VPC name, and then we can define the CIDR. We can define the CIDR here, IP range basically. We can say 10.0.0.0, and we can define like this 16. So this range we are defining, and we are simply creating our VPC. So VPC is getting created, and VPC got created basically. So now VPC is there. This is our AI project VPC. Now we should have an internet gateway also, so that from the internet we should be able to access this VPC. So we will create one internet gateway, and we will call it AI project internet gateway. Internet gateway, and we will simply create it. So now our internet gateway is ready. Now we first need to attach this internet gateway with the newly created VPC. So we will say actions attach to VPC here. So which VPC? We want to attach this internet gateway with my AI project VPC. So I will select this and I will simply say attach internet gateway. So VPC got attached now. Now we need to create subnets. So we can see here the 4 subnets are available. These are the 3 subnets are available, and these 3 subnets are associated with default VPC, but we don't want to use it. We want to create our own. So we will simply say create subnet. We can select in which VPC we want to create these subnets. We can say AI project. And now we can give the name and side range for these subnets. We can say AI project. So this is a public subnet, we can say, and we can create this subnet maybe in availability zone A, 1A, and we can define the range as well, 10.0.1.0/24 cider we can define here. If we want to create two public subnet, we can create one more. We can put like some name one here. Otherwise, that is also enough. And now we want to add one more. I'll just copy this. So we can add one more, and this one we can say same thing. And this is basically in availability B will create. And range wise, we can give 10.0.2.0/24. So this is my another. So we can see here we are having two subnets now, public subnet basically, one in availability zone A and the second in availability zone B. Now we want to create a private subnet also. So we will say, we will type AI project. We can say private subnet. Okay. So we can give it, this is private subnet 2, or we can say this is public subnet 1, just for distinct purpose. And we can see here, this is public subnet 2. And now we are having private subnet. We can say this is 1. We can say we want to launch in A, and we are having one range for this 10.0. Maybe 11.24. We have defined this range, and then we are having one new. So here we will give AI project private subnet 2, we can say here. So this is my second subnet, and range we can launch in the B availability zone, and we can define the range like 10.0.12.0.24, and then we can simply create. So we can see total 4 subnets we have mentioned here. So we are creating 4 subnets. So 2 public subnets, 2 private subnet. So 1 public subnet and 1 private subnet in availability zone A, 1 public and 1 private subnet in availability zone B. So we can see here 4 subnets got created here successfully. And these subnets are associated with our AI project VPC. So these are custom subnets. And we created one custom VPC also, and we created one gateway also. So that mapping is done. Now we want to create route tables here. So in the route tables, we need to actually define the routes. So we can say this route table like AI project, public route table, and we can select our VPC. Yes, we want to create it for AI project VPC, and we will simply say create route table. So once route table will get created, we need to have subnet associations. So whatever like public subnets we are having, we need to associate those. So we'll say edit subnet association, and we will select only public one because we want to launch our EC2 instance in public subnet, and private subnet we should not able to access. So we are putting just public here and save association. And we can define the routes also here. We need to scroll down and edit routes. So in the routes, we need to add one new route here. We want to say any IP basically over the internet. So it is like 0.0.0/0 range should first call to, or that call should reach to internet gateway. So because that is the VPC level. So internet gateway is the default one I have created, AI project. So we will select this and we will say save changes. So now our internet gateway is also got created. Now we can see here route table is also got modified. So we are having one custom VPC and we are having 4 subnets, and then we are having route tables for with proper routes. Now we want to create some security group also. Before launching the EC2 instance, we should have some security groups so that we will able to access it. So security group, we can give some name, AI project security group. So we can copy same to the description section. And VPC, we don't want this one. We want our the newly one AI project one. We will take this and we will edit inbound rules here. So we'll say we want to enable first SSH, and this should be for any IP basically. And we can add HTTP also in case we are having some web content in EC2, and this is also anywhere basically. So we will just simply say create security group. So our security group is also getting created now. Now we can see we are having completely custom VPC with custom internet gateway, custom subnets, and the route tables are defined properly, and custom security groups are also available. Now we want to launch our EC2 instance in this new environment or in this infrastructure basically. So we'll go to EC2 Management Console. We will go. So here we can see this is my EC2 Management Console. So now we need to launch instance. So we'll click on launch instance. So here we will launch the basic image only. We'll select the first one. Whatever the default value is coming, we will go with that. Instance type, we want the free tier 1. And here we need to do little attention. We need to give little attention basically. So if we see here, we need to have network. We don't want default VPC. We want the newly one we have created. Subnet also we can choose. We are having like public and private subnets. So we want to create our instance in public subnet, maybe one we can give. Auto assign public IP, yes, we want to enable it. Other information we don't want to give here. So whatever the default is there, we will go with that. We will simply say add storage. So storage, whatever the default configuration is coming, we will go with that storage configuration. And then we will have here, we can give some name like name AI. So here we can give AI project EC2 instance we can give here. And then we can go to security group. Security group, you don't want to go whatever it is showing now. We have already created. We want to use that one. So once we'll just select an existing security group, here we can go with AI project security group. We can select this one. Here we can see 2 security groups are there. Oh, sorry, in one security group, 2 rules are there basically. One is HTTP, another one is SSH. So we will go with that. We will simply say review and launch. We can say these are the review page where we can review the complete configuration. So everything looks fine. We will simply launch the instance. Key pair wise, if you want to download the new key pair or you want to use the existing one, that we can decide. As of now, I'm going with my existing one, and I will simply say launch instance. And then here we can see we are having launch logs, or we are having instance ID. Just click on this instance ID. We will again go to EC2 Management Console, and we can see one instance is getting launched. And if we see here, this instance is getting launched. Availability zone AP South 1A, that is over region. And if we see, these are the other security group is whatever we have created, that security group. And if we click on this instance ID here, we will have more configuration to see. We can see we are having private IP. So this is the subnet range we defined. So based on that, this private IP came. And we can see VPC here is AI project VPC. So this is basically custom VPC. And subnet also we can see this is AI project public subnet 1. So this is also custom subnet we can see here. Type of instance is t2.micro, and text already we applied. And if we go to our security, here we can see the security group is AI project security group. So everything for creation of this EC2 instance we created from scratch. We didn't use our default settings, whatever the default VPC is coming. So we used everything custom here. So we see once this instance is ready, we will try to connect with it. We will just select it and we will say connect. Just click on this and here we can say connect and we'll see whether we are able to connect or not. Yes, we are able to connect this instance. We can see this is my private IP because I defined this range 10.0.1.0 for my subnet. So in that particular range, this AWS allocated that private IP. So yes, we are having custom VPC, custom subnets, and then we created our internet gateway also, route tables also we created and we defined the routes from over the internet. We are able to access our EC2 instance in the custom. We didn't create any EC2 instance in the default VPC basically. So this is the way how we can create this complete infrastructure from scratch from AWS Management Console in custom VPC. So that's it in this video. Thank you.